I'm going to show you how to make a removable, reusable fabric notebook cover. So the first thing we need to do is measure our notebook. So I'm measuring all the way around with it shut because that's a bit longer than when it's open. And then I'm going to measure the other way, and we're going to add 1/2 inch seam allowance for each measurement. So my notebook, which is A4, measures 18 by 12 inches. Just going to make a note of that so I don't forget, and then I'm going to add 1 inch to each measurement so that I have seam allowance. So I've cut my fabric out and I've gone for one long length, and I've folded it over as it will be for the notebook so I can design my front cover. I'm using some cardboard circles just as a guide here to work out my composition, and some tailor's chalk to mark the position of them, because I'm going to use fabric and free motion embroidery on my notebook cover. But this is just to sketch it out. Next up, I'm going to jelly print some fabric because I just love jelly printing, in case you haven't noticed, regular visitors. So you do need quite a lot of ink for jelly printing fabric. It takes a lot more ink than paper does. And I've got an acrylic board behind my jelly plate, so I can place this onto the fabric rather than the fabric onto the jelly plate. As you can see, I've already had lots of fun playing with different colours and textures. So I've placed that on, give it a really good press, then I'm going to peel it off and allow it to dry. I haven't added any medium to the acrylic ink because it's not an item of clothing, you know, it's going to be fine without it. Now I'm back to my cardboard circles, and I'm using them as a cutting guide to make rough circles. So I'm going for, as per my composition, 6 larger circles, and I'm going to go for 6 little circles too, in different colours and tones. Get a little bit of subtle contrast going. So I'm going to use a cotton reel as my inner circle cutting guide. So I'll just show you what that looks like on the notebook cover before we do the free motion embroidery. So there we go. So I'm going to cut out 6 different fabrics and 6 contrasting smaller circles too. So now I'm going to do some free motion embroidery roughly around those white circles. So to show you how to do that, I've got an embroidery hoop which makes a big difference with the same machine. I'm going to drop the dog feet on the machine and use a quilting foot to sew. Now I'm not a precise drawer, and it therefore follows I'm not a precise drawer with the same machine either, but I've gone for a fairly fluid, it doesn't need to be precise design here, and I'm just working my way around, and I'm going to stitch 3 rough circles around each chalk line guide. As I say, it's not precise, I'm just working my way around. So here you go, here's 3 rough machine stitched lines, and here my fabrics that are cut out. Now I'm using what's called Bondweb here in the UK, I'm not quite sure what it's called elsewhere in the world. It's a fusible glue, so it comes on a sheet of paper and it peels off and it glues fabric together. You can often get it as hemming tape too. I love the stuff, it's brilliant, very versatile and useful. The only thing you want to do is make sure you don't get it on the iron, because that's a mess, I say from experience. So I'm roughly cutting out my Bondweb. I'm placing that under the jelly printed fabric. Just trimming off excess so it doesn't go anywhere. So I'm going to glue that down with a piece of parchment paper in between the iron and the fabric, as I say, you don't want to get it on your iron, so this just protects the iron. So you need to hold the iron in place for a few seconds as per whatever the instructions are with your particular product. Once that's adhered, I'm going to do the same for the inner circle. Just iron that into place. And then I'm going to finish that off and top stitch around the edge of each of those shapes, just to make it fully secure. It's not necessary, but I think it's a nice addition to the overall design. There we go. So the next step is to fold your fabric in half, or place your two right sides together, whichever way you're doing it, and sew your side seams in a nice straight line. I'm going to turn it right side out and give those side seams a good press. Ready for the next stage. So you can see it's beginning to come together. We're now at the make the cover bit part. So we need to work out our fold lines for our envelopes. So the notebook cover works with an envelope each side that you fold the cover into. So you need to place your notebook centrally, fold it in, and then we're going to mark those folds with pins and then press them, because we need them as a guideline for our sewing for the next step. So I'm just placing my pin through one layer of fabric so I can turn the fabric wrong side out again, because we need that for sewing up the top and the bottom. So you turned it wrong side out, you've given it a good press. So let me show you how we do this envelope. So the pins act as a guide, so you're folding in to one of your pin lines. So your press seam is inwards. So I'm just finding that pin. And I'm just going to pin it here at the top. So that's the side seam there. And then we're going to fold the excess fabric back. In a sec. Just checking everything. So this excess fabric here we're going to fold back so it matches that other fold. Now bear with me, because this might seem, what is she doing? But it does work out, honestly, I promise you. So I've done that already for the other side. So I've got my two envelopes folded in. We're going to stitch one side all the way across, and one side we're going to leave a good 5-inch turning gap so that we can turn it the right side out. So I tend to use my pins as guidelines for starting my turning gap. So there we go, along the bottom or top, whichever way it is, and then part way on the other edge, either side. So once we've done that, we're just going to trim those corner seam allowances, because that's just going to help turning it out the right side and give us nice sharp corners. So I've turned it right side out and I've given the side seams a press and the envelope. So this is the turning gap, so I'm just turning that in and giving that a quick press, and then I'm going to use the same material, so heavy tape glue, Bondo web, whatever you wish to call it, to seal that gap shut. So just put that inside between the two layers. Get it to lie nice and flat, and then we'll give that a good press. So there we have it, that's our notebook cover finished with the two envelopes. So I'm just going to put my notebook in. So there we have it, one beautiful fabric notebook cover, reusable, washable. Enjoy your design, however you interpret it. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to press like and subscribe for further DIY crafting videos.